Hello from Gardening at Douentza here in Ireland, and this video is about keeping Cattleyas on a windowsill. So if you're in the temperate zone and you want to keep Cattleyas, then this is the video for you. With Cattleyas, light is the most important consideration. So a good number of these tips are going to be concerned with making sure that your plants get sufficient light. If at all possible, keep them outdoors in a shaded greenhouse in summer. But when they come back indoors in autumn, then there are a few tricks that you can do. Number one. Wash your windows. The cleaner your windows are, the more light can come through, and the more light you have, the more successful flowering you're going to have. Number two, clean your plant. If your plant leaves are covered in dust, there's no way it's going to get the light through to help with the flowering. Now there are different methods of cleaning orchids. I prefer to use a little milk in a cup like that. Just dip a tissue in until it's quite wet, squeeze it out, and then just rub it on the leaf like that. Up and down, front and back, and then dry off with the dry tissue, making sure that no milk pools in the leaf axils. There, that's much better. Number three, give your Cattleyas the maximum light exposure they can tolerate without burning. Now in my case, I put Cattleyas on a south-facing window. However, I do have a friend who's not very far from me and she's on the coast, and if she puts her Cattleyas on a south-facing window, they burn. So you're going to have to judge this one for yourself. And make sure one plant isn't shading another. I like to have all of my plants right slap bang up against the glass. This little 3-story shelving unit I have here just allows me to have a few more plants right up against the window. Number 4, ensure adequate humidity. Now, if you live in a very dry environment, you may wish to set up something like this. Here's a humidity tray with clay pebbles in it, and a little water goes at the base in there, and the water evaporates over time, just providing the plants with a bit more humidity. Number 5, ensure that your Cattleya is adequately staked. Now this is really important for the big flowered unifoliate types. And if you don't stake properly, you're going to end up with a broken stem and a spoiled flower, and we really don't want that. Now what you need to bear in mind is that the flowers will come from the new growths. So as soon as the plant starts to produce sheaths, then you need to give each sheath its own stake, and then as it develops, tie it in up along the stake. Always leave the stakes in a bit taller than you think you need, because you can trim them afterwards when the flower eventually opens. And as for last year's old growth, I like to bundle that in the centre as best as possible. So tie it away from the new growths. You don't want it interfering with them and making the flowers grow in an awkward direction because they're being pushed out by last year's growth. And number 6 is about rotating your plants. Now if you have plants in this kind of setup where they're a little bit back from the source of light, you may want to consider with the big ones like this one here, rotating it each time you move it so that the plant is getting even light all the way around. But, and this is very important, once the plants form buds, then you must stop rotating, because if you don't stop, you're going to end up with a really distorted flower. And that goes for Epicattleyas as well. Not with the buds in their case, but with the stem. You can end up with a really, really malformed stem if you move the plant around each time you put it back. And finally, number 7, you need to consider plant feed. Now at the moment I'm using the Occurrent Rain mix, which means that I feed the same 24/7. But otherwise you'd need to consider upping your phosphorus dosage in October, November say, for winter spring flowering plants. And another great product is the Orchid Focus orchid food. Now in the past I have fed my orchids tomato food, full strength tomato food in October and November for those that were due to flower in winter. But well, if you do that, you do it at your own risk. So there you go. That was my video on keeping Cattleyas on a windowsill in the temperate zone. I hope you found it useful. I hope that you might feel encouraged to try some big flowered Cattleyas if you don't already. And if you did, please do subscribe and click like and all that kind of thing. Thanks very much. Bye now.